Testing 1 2 1 2. Testing 1 2 1 2. I'm using my new microphone today, and we're working on some engines. This is a Bachmann Plus F7, and these are notorious for cracked gears. This is a nice set, A unit plus matching B unit. So I'm going to do all the work on the A unit, and the B unit, it's basically the exact same job, but just the shell looks different. So these, they look pretty nice, actually. Can't complain about the way they look. The horns are there, couplers are there. I'm not changing them. So that's got lots of lubrication. Probably it does have cracked gears. Anyway, it actually was advertised on eBay with cracked gears, so there you go. No surprise there. So the shell removal, you just spread out the two fuel tank panels, and there's a clip in there. Just be careful with the little coupler. It'll just slide in there somehow. Somehow it slides in there. Once you get it past, you can remove the shell, which I know it can get past there. I've done it many times. So the front coupler, as you can see, is a little bit longer. It just passes through that hole. So that's a pretty nice looking unit. Looks like it was never ran, probably because it always had cracked gears from when it was new. You don't have to remove the whole shell to get to the gears. You can just remove the side frames and they should come right out. But before I do that, I am going to want to test it out to see where we start with. So that is a split frame. It's a nice mechanism. It's mostly good. Wow, it gives plenty of power. Nothing's happening. That's not good. Here we go. It wasn't making contact. This is a nice mechanism. Split frame. The motor is great. There's two little worm gears up here. Yeah, two little worm gears up here. Those are great. It's a good design and everything, but it's just those cracked gears. The cracked gears are garbage, but everything else is good. So let's go test it out on the track just to see if I can even get it to go. My little microphone, it came with two mics actually. So I started thinking, because I cannot hear the ambient noises too much. So I started thinking, what if I put the second microphone on a gondola and I have that following the train around? That might be amazing fun. So let's see how this runs. So no surprise, it runs pretty poorly. So that's what you get with a set of broken gears. So that might be crazy fun with a DCC and sound engine. I can't wait to try that. I got a couple of DCC and sound videos coming in the following weeks, so we'll see. So that's perfect. That's what I want to work on today. I want to work on broken gears. So I think I can remove these gears without removing the whole power truck from the frame. There's a little tab you can pull on at the back, and that will release your couplers, and you have access to your wheels just like the Dash 840B from last week. So these are from the same era and they suffer from the same issues. So that was pretty easy to get in there. Then your two contact strips will stay there. Everything else about this drive is really good. There's no need to freak out and go in there. Maybe add a drop of lubrication, but this thing is just oozing out of lubrication. So I don't think we're gonna work on that too much today. And then I'm gonna re-clean the wheels. Let me just see if I can find the crack. Oh my goodness. Look at that. If I can get it to refocus. Look at this crack right side to side. You can't miss it. So they're probably all like that. But I always start by cleaning the wheels no matter what. That is the first step of everything. And these just about fall apart. They're so loose. There. So I'm going to keep cleaning the wheels off camera. I'm using my vice grip to hold the gear solid so it doesn't move around. I put the crack right on top here. So it'll just clamp it down, and I'm going to drill it with my handheld drill. If you don't have a set of modeler's drills, get one. These are fabulous. I'm using a 3/32 because my micro drills are too small. This is the smallest size I can get from the hardware store. So I'm going to very gently try to drill this through. If I can do that without damaging it too much, I will have achieved my goal. Then we'll see if I can get the engine to run right. So I've got 4 more to do. Now at this point I'm going to wash everything with some soap and water and my toothbrush, because I want the glue to have a chance to adhere, so the oil might hurt that. So I'm going to remove the oil with some soap and water. So while I was in there, I also managed to wash the side frames. I'm going to let this dry thoroughly because the crazy glue uses moisture in the air to dry, so it's going to influence the way it dries and how solid it gets. I'm also going to take a minute to wash the 2 shells, so that's done. So I gave it plenty of time for it to dry, but everything now is very loose, obviously, so the axle won't spread the gear out anymore. So I'm going to glue everything together with some crazy glue or cyanoacrylate, and I'm going to try to center it as best as I can. And you don't need a lot, just a tiny little bit. Half a drop is all you need. There. So I'm going to take my little gear, and then I will let that dry for a little bit. Yeah, center it as best as you can. I'm gonna let that dry for a little bit. While I'm waiting for my glue to dry, I just had this silly idea here. This is a Kato F7. It's the newest generation with DCC friendly. And very curious to see how well the Bachmann would fit over this. So I have to do the same thing. I have to pass the coupler. It's a B unit, so it's got couplers on both ends. Just curious to see how well the Bachmann shell would fit over this. Just being careful not to crush my ladders. It may or it may not go, but I would be curious to know. Oh, I might have trimmed. This is just a cover for the F7B unit, just to hide the hole. So take two. Let's see how well these go together. I don't want to mess up my ladders, and I don't want to mess up my Kato B unit. They're both nice. Oh, it's very tight. Very, very, very tight. But it looks like that's gonna go. And that would be an excellent runner. It sticks out a little too much from the bottom, but if you're in a hard place, that would actually be okay. The line here is because the previous owner painted the fuel tank black. But yeah, that would work. If you're in a bind, let's say Kato doesn't make your favorite railroad and you've got some Bachmann F7s and you want to run them with a Kato drive, looks like it's possible. Now I'm going to glue the second wheel together. After the bottom one's dry, I'm going to do the top one now. And again, you don't need much glue. So these will fit very loose in there. So just put a little bit of glue and stick that in. And again, center it as best as you can. And we'll let that dry for a little bit. So I'm still getting fluctuations in the sound that's from my phone software. I'm hesitant to get a new phone because it's give or take $1,000, and that's $1,000 I can't spend on trains. Well, we all have to make choices, I guess. So I am starting to think about it though, because I'm a little bit upset that even though I have the microphone, my sound still fluctuates. If I get an iPhone, let's say iPhone 12 or 13, I don't even know what number they're at now, then I have to get a new microphone, of course. Well, maybe there's adapters out there. I have to do some more research. Although I kind of miss the going to the hobby shop. Everything's online now. There are advantages for stuff like that. Like if I want to know if my mic's gonna be able to work with an adapter, I can find that out on Google. Alright, I'm gonna let that dry for a minute. I'm gonna test out my frame just before I put the wheels back on. You can see it's still binding a little bit. If I back up, it's not so bad, but going the other direction still binds up a little bit. So I'm going to take it apart. Maybe there's a little bit of dirt on the gears and clean up the gears again. Take this apart. You start by the fuel tank. The tiny, tiny little screw on this. You don't want to lose that. And then there's two screws on each side. I'm going to put that with the fuel tank so I don't lose it. So same here, two little screws to both sides. And then your little light bulb will fall out, no doubt. No doubt this will fall out. And then let's see. The first one is still catching a bit, so finish that out. Hey, it's alive. Fortunately, it's a big screw, so managing that is no problem. Let me go grab that from the floor. So this was the part that was giving me problems. We'll focus on this. Now these little screws here, these can be troublemakers. So you want to be extra careful not to lose these. Yeah, just bring up the plastic part and I'll try to keep all this together. There we go. So I keep the two screws together if I can. Then we'll remove the worm gear. I'll clean that as best as possible. I'll just run my screwdriver through it just to make sure everything's clean. Then I will do the same thing with these gears. I'll inspect them carefully. Yeah, I can feel it stopping. So there's definitely something, probably some dirt in one of the gears. So that's gotta go. It was just this little speck of dust here. I had to dig that out with a needle. So that was tough, but I did it. There's tons of grease from what was done before, so there's no point in no point in no point in putting more. There's tons. So that feels great. I'm gonna reinstall this little keeper. And that will be that. A lot of the cattle stuff to make it easy for the people at the factory. The Bachmann trains, not so much. I find they are a little bit tough to work on. It depends on the day, you know. Some days it's easy, and some days it's tough. I don't know which one it's going to be today. Looks like it wanted to fight a little bit. Just check it again, just to make sure. Good. Then I'll put everything back together. Just like so. And then I'll bring the other frame half in. So I've got my two worm gears, my two drive shafts lined up. I have to line up the insulators, and if my insulator is right, and also the little fuel tank thing. That's actually the hardest part to line up. Once you got the fuel tank thingy in place, you're in good shape, really. Yeah, the fuel tank thingy. The fuel tank thingy's got it thinks it's stuff, but I know it wants to go there. Yeah, so imagine the people at the factory building these. That must have been fun. I have to line up my two little insulators. Oh, actually, it's going well. This is going well. I think we're in good shape now. And then I can bring in my screws. So at this point, I'll just start them because I have to make sure I have enough slack to put the little light bulb in there. But you know what? I'm going to check the mechanism before I put in the little light bulb. That way, if I have to take it apart again, it's no problemo. So checking the mechanism. Some power on. Oh, come on. Maybe I'll put my light bulb on before I check this. Because apparently they have to be very tight. Yeah, I'm gonna tighten them and then I'll check it again. Oh yeah, that is much more smooth. Muy suave. That's great. Don't forget your light. I'm gonna just get some slack on here. Then bring my light back on. Make sure the two little wires, just little wires, one on each side. Make sure they are still one on each side. Just slide in here. Some light so you can see it. Should look like that when you're done. And retighten everything. And every time I add something, I always recheck it. So I will recheck it off camera. But that's looking good so far. They give you a little piece of tape also with the engine. I don't know if that's going to stick again, but I'll put it there just for fun. And then don't forget your fuel tank. That too, you need your good Phillips head screwdriver. And that's that. And then I can bring in my wheels, which I've got some electrical tape here on my table. I'm gonna make a little electrical tape patch for that. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't do it. It's not a big thing to me, but it'll make the interior of the engine look black. So in a way, it's worth it. Perfect. So these contact strips there, you just clean them with your finger. And you can install them right back. There's a little pin that's going to help you hold them there. And then once you have them in, you can bring in your wheels. So I could probably test this on the bench, but I'm gonna want to go test it on the track right away, because I want to see if I was able to achieve this repair. pin. Check the other side, looks great. Beautiful. And then you can bring in the side frame. The side frame, it's got a shallow end, it's got a deeper end. So the shallow end goes towards the coupler. You have to wiggle it in, and then you can snap the back. So do the exact same thing for the other side. Put your little contact strips. I'll double check them to make sure they're at the correct spot. That looks pretty good. Then I'll bring in my wheels and we can go test this on the track. So same thing, there's a shallow end and the deep end. So put the shallow end towards the coupler, and then you just snap the back, and that should be good. Let's go see what it's like on the track. So let's see what we've got. It's forcing a little bit. Yeah, this isn't great, but it's a little better. Well, not much better. Anyways, this was worth a try. Well, don't worry, I've got an ace up my sleeve. Turns out you can get parts for these. You go to the Bachmann Trains website, N-scale parts, and then F7 standard. You can get just about any parts for this engine, including the drive wheels. It will say a maximum of 6. So I had to order twice because I want to do the B unit and I want to do my Pennsylvania unit as well. So that worked out to be exactly 12 that I needed. Another great thing about this is you don't need to take the engine apart to replace them. You just need to remove the side frames. You can have them put in. So you just pry. Oh, there goes my microphone. So you just pry on the back of these, and they'll come right out, just like that. And then you can swap out your wheels. And that's that. Then I put back my side frames. And that's it. You're done. I'm going to do the same thing to the back here. Then we can go try it on the track. So let's see what we got. And it runs on much lower voltage. So that is also great. So much improved. If you want to purchase this engine, I'm going to have it on my website. It's watchtrainsnow.com. Also, I sold this engine from my website. It's a SD40 with DCC. So my prices are great. So come and check it out. So I'm going to do the exact same process to the B unit. Also, I bought enough gear so I could do my Pennsylvania one. I'm going to show you how easy it is to do. You don't even have to remove the shell. I don't have to remove the shell from this because I did it just a couple of weeks ago. Then I remove one gear, grab the new one. The reason why I do one wheel at a time is so the contact strips can stay in their place. So just be sure to get the contact strips just right. Then we take the other new gear, slam it in there. Make sure your contact strips are put properly. And then you reinstall the side frames. Boom! It's that easy. Now all I gotta do is put the shell back on. Remember, you have to shimmy the little coupler through the pilot beam. So that's a little bit hard to do, but I've done it before, so I can do it again. However long that takes, I'm going to take the time. Take the time to do it right. Then, just two little clips on the side. Super easy, barely an inconvenience. That's it. The same thing with the B unit. Much easier because, oh, by the way, which way is the front of the B unit? You can see here the dynamic brake and the two exhaust tack and the cooling fans. And then at the back here is space for a steam generator. So that means this is the back. And then I have to open it a little bit. Allowed to go over the pins. Boom. Perfect. And now it's time to run some train. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. I certainly had fun making it for you. See you soon.